is Erin the Hiking Stitcher. Welcome to Flosstube number 12. At least I think it's 12 because my numbering has gotten off. Anyhow, it is Monday, March 3rd. So welcome to my channel. This is a channel that is mostly about cross stitch, sometimes about hiking, sometimes about whatever little things are going on in my head. So if you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will be putting out more videos. In the meantime, you can also follow me on Instagram at walking_in_stitches or on Blue Sky under Pearly Hiker, and I'll link both of them below. So anyhow, so today I wanted to tell you everything that I was up to in February. February was a busy month for me, so I didn't get nearly as much stitching in as I wanted to, but I still got a lot done. So let's jump into it. I had 2 finishes, and I had a little bit of haul, and I had quite a few whips. So let's start off with the finishes. So the first project I finished is what I like to call my Christmas fleur-de-lis. So this is a project known as Happy Holidays, and so here it is. So this was a pattern that I bought at Accents and Stitches in Kenner, Louisiana, and I started this for Mania last year, and so I was able to get it finished in February. So yay, I got to finish. So once again, that is Happy Holidays, and I used a fabric from Forbidden Fiber Co. using the called for DMC. So there it is. And then my next finish was another part in the Black Needle Society's Celebrate All Year Stitch Along. I am horribly behind on that, but that's what stitch alongs are for, right? So I finished September, which is National Velociraptor Awareness Month. So here it is. Forgive me, I did not get a chance to iron it. Put it up against there. So there he is. Isn't he cute? So this is stitched for using the called for DMC on the called for linen. I don't remember the name of it right now, but isn't he adorable? So I still have October, November, and December to finish, and then I'll be done. So this was a 12-month series stitched, designed by Katie Landis of the Black Needle Society. And it came in the Nice List box for 2023. So I believe you can still purchase the stitch along, but you don't get like the materials and finishing pack and stuff. So I am now only 3 months left to go on that one. So I'll be starting October here pretty soon. So I had 2 finishes, which was pretty cool. And I also had no new starts in February. So I feel like I am whittling down the whip pile a little bit. But I did get some haul. So let's start with the stuff I physically can show you, and then I'll talk about the things that I can insert pictures of. So I'm sure by now most of you have heard the very sad news that Joann's Fabrics is closing, which makes me super sad because I could walk there from my house to get the floss I needed. So I went and I finally said I am splurging on their satin collection. So I went in and I grabbed a skein of all of their satin floss that they had for DMC. I know I can get this other places as well, but it was my way to support Joann's for the last time I'm going to go there. My Joann's is already pretty picked over of all their floss and cross stitch supplies now, so that is pretty sad. So then other things I got, my stitching group that we've started at a local winery that includes Flosstubers, Jessie does stuff, Becca is stitching, Krista the Shenandoah Stitcher, CJ the Griffon, is it Griffin or Griffon? Please tell me, CJ. And a few others who are also on Instagram. We get together roughly once a month at a local winery and stitch and catch up. So Lucy, who is crafting across continents on Instagram, she brought a bunch of patterns saying, hey, these I'm destashing. So I picked up this cute, adorable pattern from Lizzie Kate with all the cute penguins because I love penguins. So I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to stitch this, probably at Christmas, but it's adorable and they're penguins. What's more to love? And then I picked up, she also had Farmhouse Sampler from Erin Elizabeth. So I am a big fan of Erin Elizabeth because I also am an Erin Elizabeth. And also because I really like a lot of her designs. So this design really reminds me of my childhood because I grew up in the country. My family had a farm, although the farmhouse was not quite as big as this. So I will stitch this up and maybe forego the alphabet because you know my feelings on alphabets. But anyhow, so this is Erin Elizabeth's Farmhouse Sampler. And then, as many of you may know through my Instagram post, through my last Flosstube, and if you are friends with me on Facebook, you know that the current administration in the United States has really spurred me on to activism. So when I joined Blue Sky, I friended quite a few people in the stitching community, and one of them was Shannon Downey, who also known as Badass Cross Stitch, and she has written a book. So it is called Let's Move the Needle, which is essentially a craftivism handbook for how you can build community using crafting and making change. So I'm excited to go through this and learn a little bit more about how I can, organize locally in my community, how us crafters can join together to make change using whatever methods we have. And while she does not include cross-stitch patterns in here, she did include a couple of embroidery patterns. So there's a Go Do Good. And I think she had one more, maybe not, I'm wrong. But in her, she talks about not only how she started stitching, but also how she used stitching for a means towards activism. So if you certainly are interested, Shannon, she is on Blue Sky at Badass Cross Stitch. I do not know if she's on Instagram or Flosstube, but go check her out because she does have some amazing cross-stitch pieces as well. So those are the physical things I've got. Also in February, I signed up for Camp Black Needle, so I will be going back to Kansas City in the beginning of August for another retreat. It is Murder Mystery this year, so I'm excited to figure out the mystery. I also bought a pattern I saw on, again, Blue Sky has been my downfall for cross-stitch patterns. I found one called Oregon Trail, and so here's a picture of what it will look like. And I don't have all the details as to the designer right now, but I can link those below or maybe put them here in the when I do editing. And then I also bought a pattern called Blue Ridge. So this is what it's going to look like. And I was completely enabled from Jessie Marie Does Stuff because I saw this on her Instagram and immediately just went out, bought it, kitted it up, and now just waiting for a time to start it. So this pattern reminds me a lot of where I hike because Jessie and I both live in Virginia and we overlook the Blue Ridge Mountains. So it was a perfect pattern, and as far as full coverage goes, it is much smaller. So I might actually finish this one. We'll see. And then I also bought, I think there was a cross-stitching magazine that is going out of business, and you can buy every single copy of their magazine for $30 total, digital. So it's 75 digital editions, digital magazines for like $30. So I had to get that because I saw some cute Biscornus. I think there were some chatelaines in there. I'm excited to start flipping through that. I'm sure you may have heard about it through other Flosstubers. So I went down the rabbit hole and got it. So that was my haul. So I think I did pretty good with haul and finishes. No new starts, so that is good. So let's jump into my whips. So I'm pulling these out in no particular order, just really whatever the order is on the pile. And so, but overall, I was able to get 23,679 stitches in. So that is quite a bit of stitching considering that I did not make nearly any of the goals that I set for myself. Aim higher, go home, I guess. So the first one I'm going to show you is actually one of my full coverage pieces. So this is Vintage Baker, designed by Amy Stewart and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I started this project at the beginning of 2024, end of 2023. This was kind of one of those new year, new start things. And I am stitching this using the Royal Rose method. So here is where it was when I started this at the beginning of February. And here is where my progress is. Let me hold it up here. So I was able to get in, let me move it down here. So I got in from here. So I finished off the cinnamon box last time. So I was able to extend the row down. Those are going to be some wooden spoons. And I finished the egg. That was exciting. And then I started working on the flower container. So the next time I pick this up, I hope to finish this royal row, and then I will start back and go again. And so for those of you who are curious, let me show you the whole piece here. So this is where I'm at so far. For the royal rows, I go down 2 and then just keep going over, and then when I hit the end, I'll go down 2 more and go again. So this is a pad. So this is going to take me obviously a long time, but I love this piece. So I'm excited for this to come back out. So this one, my goal for the month was 3,500 stitches. And I managed to put in 33,000, or sorry, not 33,000, oh my gosh, 3,300 stitches in this. So I still got quite a bit done on this. There you go. So this is Vintage Baker from Amy Stewart. And if you are interested, it is on the Heaven and Earth Designs website. She also has a comparable piece now called Nostalgic Baker and Mini Cookie Party for Christmas. So those are in my wish list. All right. So then the next piece I worked on was the Peppermint Purple 2025 Stitch Along. And this one I fell behind in February. I kept up very well in January. And then it just seemed like every time I had a chance to sit down to do it, I didn't have it with me. So anyhow, so here is where I was at the beginning of February. And here is where I'm at now. Let me put some paper here behind it so it doesn't, there we go. So you can see it a little bit better. There it is. So this is stitched on a black Aida using Silver Krynic as the outline, and then I'm using Bradley's Balloons from Threadworks as the fill-in. And I was able, let's see. So I'm at 1, 2, so I feel like I am about 3 weeks behind. So I've got the box stitch for the next one. So this is probably about 3 or 4 weeks behind now, but it'll get caught up hopefully before the end of the year. But I love doing this. The black work and the way the variegation on the thread works out is amazing. So this is going to become a priority to get caught up on when I get a chance. So once again, this is the Peppermint Purple Stitch Along from Peppermint Purple, and this is a free stitch along. So if you like what you see, you can go onto the Peppermint Purple website or find them on Facebook and get more information there. The outline and the fill-ins are free, and then if you want a different outline or you want some embellishments on the borders, you can certainly get those, and it's all digital, which is very nice. So I'll put that one away. And then the next piece, once again, I also fell very far behind on, is Local Conditions, a temperature chart from Satsuma Street. And this was her first ever temperature chart that she designed, and this was in the November 2024 Nature and Elements box from the Black Needle Society. So I started this January 1st. And the idea is that I would record the temperature here in Culpeper, the high temperature each day, and then each temperature corresponds with a color on the chart, and then you stitch it in. So I tried to designate Tuesdays as Temperature Tuesdays to stitch, and I just fell behind because Tuesdays became a very, very, very busy day for me. So here's where I was at the beginning of February. And here is where I'm at now. So I have January started, I gotta look for a second here. Yep, so January is over here, and then working over to February. I still have about 2 weeks left to get caught up for February. But I'm loving how this came out. You can definitely see where we had a cold snap here at the end of January-ish. And then you can start to see with the yellows here how it started to warm up. So let me see if I can put some white behind it so the colors pop a little bit more maybe. Oops. All right, so there you go. With the white, you can see it a little bit better. So I am stitching this on a piece of fabric from, I can tell you right here. This is Presenting Lorelei Gilmore from Fiber on a Whim. So this was in a Gilmore Girls box from the Black Needle Society a long time ago. And it is a perfect background for that. So I'm hoping to definitely get caught up in that. So hopefully by the end of March, you will see March temperatures in there, not just February. And I'm looking forward to getting to some of the yellows and oranges that now that it's starting to warm up. So that was that. So then the next two pieces I'm going to kind of pull together here because they're somewhat related. This is 324 and 324, the sequel from Works by ABC. 324 was released at Nashville last year and uses 324 DMC colors, hence the name. So I started this one in May of last year as part of Mania, and then I fell behind. So when I saw that my friends Chloe and Liz and Mel, I forget now who else is doing it, decided to start these projects on January 1st and do a motif a day. I decided to join in to catch up on the 324 and start the 324, the sequel. So once again, as always, you fall a couple days behind, but that's okay. So here is where I was on 324 at the beginning of February. And here is where I'm at now. I have gone through the blues. I am now very well into the blues, my favorite. So I am about 40% of the way done. I only have 2 more diagonals before I get to the longest part of the diagonals, and then I'll start squaring it off. So this one will be done much sooner than the other piece. Zoom in there a little bit so you can see. But I'm really, really loving each of those motifs. And so when I sit down and do it, they really don't take long. But when you have busy days and you don't get a chance to sit down, then having to do 2 or 3 a day to catch up sometimes, that's where it gets long. But no worries, it will be finished. I have the target date set in my planner of sometime, I believe, in October or November to have both of these finished because that should be 324 days. So as long as I hit my target date, I'm okay. But I just don't want to fall too far behind. But this is on a 16 count white Aida using all the called for DMC colors. And in case you didn't know, she has a new Nashville release called 365. So as you can guess, it is a very similar idea using 365 DMC colors. So I think I already know what one of my projects for 2026 will be. So due to the success of 324, she decided to do the same thing, but using some black work needlepoint embroidery stitches for the sequel. So I picked up the sequel and I started on January 1st. And so instead of stitching this in diagonals, I'm kind of going almost by pages just to make my life a little bit easier. So I am a couple days behind on this, but not terribly far behind. I will gladly get caught up. So here is where I was at the beginning of January on 324, the sequel. And here's where I'm at now. So I have gone over the first 2 pages here, and now I'm going down to start the pages across there. So I just kind of go where the pattern takes me. So I've hit some purples, some pinks, but I'm really loving each of these motifs. And these are super easy stitches. So I'll kind of zoom in here, bring it in here a little bit so you can see some of them. I don't know how well that comes off on the camera, but each of these stitches takes maybe 10 minutes. Again, when I sit down and do it. So again, using all the called for DMC and using the called for stitch pattern. So it's a beautiful piece. And the one thing though is that I am not doing French knots because French knots are the devil. Although Liz has sent a tutorial that I need to watch, and a friend of mine has also offered to literally just sit down and teach me. So at some point, maybe French knots won't be the devil, but right now they are. So I have quite a few pieces in here that are supposed to have French knots in them, but don't. My piece, my rules, though. All right, so that was 324, the sequel. All right, so then the next piece I'm going to show you guys, I'm super excited I'll be almost done with. So this is Cinderella by designed by Thomas Kincaid, and I don't remember who actually put the pattern out, but it is now a retired chart. So on eBay, it's not cheap. So this became my rainy day stitch because it's been a whip of mine since at least 2015, if not 2016. And it's time to finish. So every day that it rained, not snowed, but rained, in February, I sit down and try to put 100 stitches in. So I got 251 stitches in on this month. So before I show you where I'm at, let me show you where I was at the beginning of February. And here is where I'm at now. I am super excited to say that I have finished all the cross stitches, and I'm now starting the back stitching. So I know it's kind of tough to see, but if you zoom in, I've done some of the back stitching here on the trees. I've done some of the back stitching on her dress. So kind of working through where else have I, oh, got the little mouse. I think that's a mouse. I always thought it was a dog, but then I realized it's Cinderella, so it probably is more likely to be a mouse. So I have started some of the little things. And so the next time it rains, I will sit down and work on it. This, though, once again, is French knot heavy. So I may call this a finish for now once I finish the black work, because like I need to do French knots in the bouquet here. There's a whole bunch of French knots in the like the bushes here. So we'll see, but this is still all very close to being done. So this was I believe it was, no, not Dimension School. No, not Dimension School. Anyhow, I found this at Joann's a long time ago, back when Joann still sold full cross stitch kits. And now it is retired. So if you look for Cinderella by Thomas Kincaid on eBay, you'll probably find the kit for like 150 bucks. So I'm super excited to have this almost finished though. So this will continue to be a rainy day stitch in March. And my hope is that by the end of March, I will have at least finished all the back stitches so I can begin to learn French knots. Maybe. Or figure out beading, because I still don't know how to bead either. So that was Cinderella. All right, continuing on down the pile. I also worked on a pattern called Society Stitcher, designed by Katie Landis of the Black Needle Society. And this pattern is a free pattern if you are in the Black Needle Society Facebook group. If you go to the files and you go through it, you should see it there. This was I wouldn't say one of the first patterns that she designed, but it certainly is a very cute one. So my friend Laura of the Black Needle Society and Laura and Keisha together on Flosstube are the pattern queens. And they decided that they were going to start this as a 25/7 project. I don't know where the 7 comes from, but I do know the idea is to put in 25 stitches a day on it until you're finished. Well, so they started January 1st. I saw their progress and said, I want to do that. So of course I jumped in. But I tried to do 25 stitches a day and I just couldn't leave a thread hanging. So my modification is doing just a strand a day. So, I just pick up a strand of color and just take it until the end. And then when I finish it, I'm done for the day. So here is where I was on the project at the beginning of February. And here is where I'm at now on the project. So I kind of bring it in a little bit so you can see there. So in February, I was able to put in 792 stitches. However, I did have to do some ripping because once I started bringing down this border, I realized that I had stitched the words over too far. So I had to rip out like all of the word stitcher here. It's falling here. Let me pull that up a little bit better so you can see there. So I had to rip out the word stitcher and start all over again. So that gets to get fixed. But I finished the snail and the tea bag holder. So I just need to refinish Society Stitcher and get the border done there so I can just start filling in the blues. So then in March, I'm hoping to get the teacup, start working on the teacup that the snail is in the center of. So this project right now is on track to be finished sometime in July, if not sooner. I may take a break from it because I do have a couple of other projects that are kind of in the need to finish much sooner than that for retreats and things like that. But it is still an easy piece. It takes me 15 minutes to put in a strand, maybe 20. So that was Society Stitcher. And that is stitched on a 14 count lilac Ada. Don't know that, probably just Zweigart, legit something. It was a freebie I got from somebody using the called for DMC from the pattern. So if you like the pattern, join our Facebook group. All right, continuing on down. What else did I work on? Ooh, I worked on Christmas at Hawk Run Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. So this was one of my 12 Days of Christmas starts, and using a method that my friend Nancy, the Disorderly Stitcher, described on her Flosstube one time. I am stitching a square at a time, but I'm taking each square and dividing it into 4. So kind of going, it's easier to do it this way. Down, wow, my straight lines. So I'm dividing into 4 parts, 4 equal parts. Math is hard. Geometry, hard. So what I'm doing is I am dividing it into 4 parts and then doing 25% of a square a month. So because I took the pattern and I'm charting each square into Pattern Keeper using Max Stitch. So that way each square, like, I can get to exactly 25%. So at the beginning of February, here's where I was. I was at 50% of square 1 done, give or take. And so I work on this on the 12th or 13th, and then again on the 25th of every month. And so here is where I'm at today, at the end of February. I am now 75% of the way done. So in March, I will finish block 1. So I was able to get this bottom corner here done and started the peacock. So you can see the peacock tail with the little peacock feathers that they design in. And I'm really loving this color palette. I am using the DMC conversion rather than the NPI silks that it was called for. Because honestly, to kit this up with NPI silks was going to cost me like $250. And I just don't have that kind of money right now. But I do have DMC coming out my ears. And so far, I actually think it's a pretty nice little conversion. I'm stitching this on a 32 count even weave that I just bought off 123 Stitch. I couldn't tell you the design, the dyer, but I'm really, really liking the weight of this fabric and the feel of it. And I may start converting my life to even weave from Ada. Can't believe I ever would say that. But there it is. I also am debating, and so you guys can tell me in the comments below what you think of this idea. I know several people are very Hawk Run Hollow purists. I am debating. So there's 12 blocks here. I am actually debating on not doing these bottom 3 and just doing the square of 9, because that is where the song, I heard the bells on Christmas Day. So this is where the song actually ends. So you can see in several of these boxes, it has the lyrics. And then down here are just, these boxes are cute. Like, not gonna lie. I do, I really do like the cardinal here. This is full coverage, so that is not suddenly black fabric. That is all black background. So those would make good stitching maybe for an individual, but as far as the pattern goes, I may just stop after I finish the first 9. Tell me what you think. Am I ruining the Hawk Run Hollow tradition by not doing the full piece? But again, my piece, my rules, I guess a little bit. Stitch your own stitch. But I'm really looking forward to this. So March, I will have block 1 done. I'll have that peacock done. And then that way in April, I get to start the house with all of the snow in front of it. And I did go ahead and buy the, the specialty silk for that, because it was a variegated color that you just could not replicate with DMC, no matter how hard you tried. So I went ahead and I did get that. So I will get a little bit of the silks in there. All right, and so another piece I worked on, this was a Whipco call, and I was so excited for it. This is the Electric Light Parade Mandala from, I believe it's Atomic Tiki Pens. So here's what it looked like when I pulled it out. And let me kind of fold it all up here, because this, when I measured it out, I couldn't believe it actually is a BAP, believe it or not. So here is where it is at now. I did not really get a whole heck of a lot done. My goal on this was to finish the whole drum, which is a lot of black on black, or at the very least finish the words, which I came close to. But as you can see, if I zoom in, you can see where I had to do some ripping, because I was using the DMC Light Effects. I believe it's E677 for this. And it just started shredding. It just started shredding like crazy. So I had to pull out some here, and I really was debating on whether or not just to yank it all out and start again. But I'm like, I am so close to literally being done with the words that I may just finish it. But so if you have any tricks for working with the DMC Light Effects with the gold stuff, because I'm used to working with Krynic or with Petite Treasure Braid, and so this has been not fun for me. So I did more ripping than I did stitching on this month, but I at least touched it, because I had not touched this in over a year. So overall, I put in a whopping 120 stitches, which mostly is the brown outline of the words. So in this, so I started off by doing the light effects, and I'm doing the brown, and then you can kind of see a little bit of black on black that I started up here just to kind of get the edge of the drum. So once I get this part done, the rest of it's going to be a lot nicer, because the rest of it is all color. So you've got like the red, and there are some other sparkly things. So I may switch out the DMC Light Effects for other colors, for some Krynic and things like that. But yeah, I was so excited to work on this project, and then it just seemed like every time I picked it up, I wanted to throw it because of the dang gold color. And then it didn't want to fit in my hoop, so I was thinking I would just scrap it and start over. But it does fit well into my nerge. So this is kind of going into timeout. I don't know if it's going to get called again for Whipco this year, but I think it'll be fine. So that was Electric Light Parade Mandala. All right, so then the next piece that I worked on was another Heaven and Earth piece. So this is Traveler's Window. The artist is Lars Stewart, who is married to Amy Stewart, who's my other favorite HAED artist. I love both of their artwork and their bright styles. So this was a project I started last year for Mania. And so this is where I was at the beginning of February on it. And here's where I'm at now. I am almost done with this coat. I'm kind of going over a page, and then I think when I finish the coat, I'm going to come over here and start up, because I just wanted to get the coat done. So this is like a green coat hanging over the bar. So here's the trunk on the luggage rack. And then I've started to wonder what this is, but as you pull it out, this actually is going to be like a map or a poster on the wall. So forgive the hanging threads, and it's still in the nurture because this was also a WIPCO call for March. So I will continue on this in March. So I'm hoping to get this page finished going down, or at the very least get the coat finished, and then come over and maybe start working more on the luggage rack. Just whatever I can do in the Nerge, just goes wherever I can do it. So this is on 25 count Easy Grid Lugana from 123 Stitch, using all the called for DMC. I stitch all of my Heaven and Earths 2/1 full cross. And I know some people say that's crazy, but it works for me. So in February, I met my goal. I wanted to put 3,500 stitches in, and I literally hit exactly 3,500 stitches for the month. So that made me super happy. And so my goal again for March is another 3,500 stitches. So I'm pretty sure I can do that. So this is where I'm at again, because I love it. Traveler's Window from Laura Stewart. All right. And then my other two, my last three pieces, I have a stitch along, and then I have my 2 whips of shame. I started the whip of shame idea from somebody I saw on Flosstube. Please comment below if you remember, because I am completely blanking out right now. So one of my WIPGO boards is for my whips of shame. So whips that I've had around way longer than I should have. Some of them have gone into timeout. Some of them just need a reason to be pulled out. So when these get called on my WIPGO board, the goal is to put in, my original goal was 100 stitches a day, every other day. So literally so in February it would have been 1,400 stitches. What I'm learning from January and February is that sometimes that is not attainable. So my minimum goal for my whips of shame is 1,000 stitches a month. Yes, my target goal is still 100 stitches a day, every other day. So I rotate out, but understanding that, life has been happening, like a lot of life, and I don't have 8, 10, 12 hours a day to dedicate to stitching like I did in January. So anyhow, so my first one is Home in New Orleans. And this was designed from, Accents and Stitching in Kenner, Louisiana. And this was designed by a lady locally there. I'm blanking out on her name. But there's 3 pieces in this series, and my mother-in-law has stitched the first piece. I am currently stitching the second piece, and I have the third piece in my stash. So here is what it looked like when I picked it up in February. And here is where I'm at now. In February, I put in 1,034 stitches, so I did hit the 1,000 stitch minimum. And the reason this one kind of is a drudgery for me is I'm now doing borders. So putting in the 100 stitches a day helped me get the rest of these fleur-de-lis up here so I could finally start going over. And so I do enjoy this piece, or I will enjoy this piece more when it's done. The first piece is Happiness in New Orleans is, and a list, and then this is the second piece that you're at home in New Orleans when. And the last piece is Things to Do with Dead Mardi Gras Beads. So, because Mardi Gras is tomorrow, that is very appropriate. So once I finish this one, I will start the Mardi Gras bead piece. And then probably get them all framed together so they match. So this is on a 14 count Aida. Huge. It is 18 inches wide and I believe 22 inches tall for the stretcher bars. And as you can see, measurement is hard. I thought I started this in the center, and so imagine my frustration when I realized I didn't. I still have plenty of room to frame it, but just visually this drives me a little bonkers. So between that and the framing, that's why this one kind of went into the timeout pile, and so thankful to WIPGO for being able to bring it back out. So hopefully I'll get this finished because this has been around since 2018 and it needs to be done because it's really not a lot left. So we'll see. That'll come out again at least once more this year for WIPGO because I believe all of my whips of shame are on the board twice. with the exception of this one, which is on the board like 25,000 times. So this next piece is 2 years overdue. So when my sister announced that she was pregnant with her third child, I said, well, I did something for the other ones, so let me do something for this one. So she and I went to the local needlework store up where she lives in Alexandria, and she's not a stitcher, but I said, here's all the baby announcements, pick one, and I'll do it. So she picked out Welcome Little Stranger from Lindy Stitches, because she just liked the Welcome Little Stranger part. And she picked it up, so I bought it, and then we were looking at it. She goes, I really don't like the colors. I like the pattern, I don't like the colors. Can you make them darker? So part of the reason this became a whip of shame was because analysis paralysis led me to like questioning and re-questioning all of my life choices. And then I'd start it and decide, oh, I don't like that color, let me switch it out. So my youngest nephew now is just turned 2, and I'm still not done. So that's how long I've had this as a whip, 2 years. And when it was supposed to be given to him for his birth. So anyhow, so I did not show this in my January update, even though I worked on it in January, because that was a mistake. So let me show you where I was, though, at the end of January. And here is where I'm at now. In February, I was able to put in 1,015 stitches. And so I was able to finish the complete top part, get the balloons, and I'm now starting the stork. So the only thing I really have left to do is to chart his name at the bottom and then figure out something on this, because I hate borders. In case I haven't told you that before, I hate borders. And so the color conversion on this was tough enough for me to figure out, let alone trying to do the border. So I'm thinking that once I'm done with this and I put his name down here and maybe like change some balloons to balls, or because it was a bunch of flowers at the bottom, and he's not a flower kid. So I'm hoping that this will be done very soon. This is on my Whip of Shame board, literally every other square. So this was called in January, it was called in February, and it was called in March. So I'm hoping that by doing this, at the very least, I can get this done and just, finally have it for him. I debated on stopping after I finished this bird, but I also said, I personalized all the other ones. So I'm going to personalize this one. So once it's done, it'll get off to the framers and sent to him. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. But so the birds, these 2 birds are still charted as called for. That didn't change. But like the balloons and the words and the carriage and even this bird here, I went darker with, because that's what my sister requested, and I finally figured out a good color conversion for it. So it is all DMC. The original chart looked for a lot of fancy floss, but I went through my fancy floss and just didn't find anything that struck my fancy. So for me, it was just easier to figure out a DMC color conversion, so that is what we have now. So hopefully this will get finished in March or April, and I'll be done with it. So this is Welcome Little Stranger from Lindy Stitches. Stick that over there. And my final whip. Probably my favorite one, although it frustrates me because I never seem to get in as many stitches as I need to. So this is Steampunk Portal from the Heaven and Earth Designs Stitch Along options. In my video last month, I said the artist was Ciro Marchetti. I was wrong. I know I was wrong. I don't know the current artist, but I know it wasn't him. So my apologies for that. So this was sent out, and I started it January 1st. And the idea is that they will send out a row a quarter. So the next installment will drop April 1st. So in this one, I said, okay, well, I divided the number of stitches in the first release by the number of days. So 90 days between January 1st and April 1st. And so the goal was to put in something like 320 stitches in a day. I met that goal in January. I think I'm a little behind now because, again, when you've got all these things that are on I need to stitch this. Um, you don't always get a chance to do that because, you have a life. So here's where I was at the beginning of February on this piece. And here's where I'm at now. So forgive the hanging threads. I keep losing my bobbins. So in February, I was able to put in 8,588 stitches. And I'm really, really absolutely loving it, especially because I'm now getting into some of the blue, like the lighter blues. So I've gone over, so here's page 1, page 2. I'm not doing the bottom row because I want to make sure that it flows in well. I don't really want that line there in between the pages, so that's just how I'm handling it. But I am now, so this is page 3, started all the way over to the edge of page 3, so I'm working down, and then page 4. So the goal is by the end of March to have this whole first row done. So I need to get on it. But this is again stitched on a 25 count Easy Grid Lugana, using the called for DMC colors, stitched 2 over 1 full cross because I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. So I think that was it. So that was all my stitching for the month. Overall, I had 23,679 stitches in for the month of February. So I am well on track to my goal of hitting 250,000 stitches for the year. So coming up in March, I am doing the Battle of the Whips for the Black Needle Society. It was in their planner. So let me show you. I've got that all filled in. I already started the cardinal ornament. So I'm kind of doing this with my whip downs. So for me, whipping down means to pick a project that has about 2,000 stitches or less left. And so this is going to be a way for me to touch most of them early because a lot of these are on a whip go board already. So let's see if I can get one of them finished. That would be amazing. So I've already started the cardinal ornament, and then I'm starting October for the Celebrate All Year Stitch Along. And then I'll go down to Live Simply and my Pretty Little London, and then my Steel City 2024 pattern from last year, and then I have Toss a Coin, Sugar and Spice, and Quaker Snowflake. So we'll see how far I can get on this. So this is part of my March plans. I also am continuing Whip Go, so I will be working on Welcome Little Stranger again. And the other piece that came up for the Whip of Shame, I have decided to UFO it, so that gives me an extra day to play with as far as stitching goes, which will work well for the Battle of the Whips. I am continuing to work on Traveler's Window, and I also am pulling out a Stitch in Time from Amy Stewart, so be looking forward to the progress on that. And I've also picked up Fuck Around and Find Out, which is one of my favorite new pieces. So I'll get a chance to work on that. What else did I get? And then coming in the mail, because I just am crazy, Forbidden Fiber Co. is doing a stitch along based on the Fourth Wing series. So here's where her Gilmoreisms, she did a great one for Gilmore Girls. So this is her Gilmoreism stitch along. So she's doing something similar for Fourth Wing. And that's supposed to show up in the mail today. So that's a start I may end up having to do. The Black Needle Society has started their snail subscription, so I should be getting my first snail pattern in the mail this week. Some people have already gotten theirs, and I'm super jealous. And then Lola Crow put out her annual stitch along, and this year it's all about birds, beautiful birds, aviary, something like that. So I bought that. And I need to stitch the piece for Steel City Stitchers this year. So I've got a lot of things that I want to do in March, plus all of my Whip Go pieces, things like that. So the likelihood of me hitting all my March goals is slim to none. But keep moving forward. So life updates. I really only went hiking once in February. The weather has just been crazy. It's been cold. There was an ice storm up in Shenandoah, so I couldn't get up there. And then it's been snowing. We've had a lot of snow this year. So finally, last Monday, my friend Lisa and I got up to my trail that I maintain just to take a look at it. And thankfully, I only have one tree that I have to handsaw, so I'll get up there with that when the weather gets a little bit nicer. And it was just good to get out. There was still some snow and ice on the trail, but it was just good to get up in the woods. I'm really hoping that as the weather gets better, I'm up in the mountains a lot more. I've lost my hiking legs. I really need to build those back up. So the hiking stitcher really has not been much of a hiker lately. And then I have jumped into a lot of community activism. I am now volunteering at the local food pantry once a week. I am still teaching the citizenship class to people who are in the process of becoming American citizens. So I have six students that I'm working with on that. And I am just becoming more involved with some activism training as far as just knowing your rights, how to contact your representatives, because I am a firm believer in our democracy. And I said, without getting too political on here, because this is Flosstube, not Politube. But my mantra has kind of been, okay, if you don't like what's going on, do something. And if you look around and you see something going on and you go, why is somebody not doing something? Well, that's because you. If not you, then who? So, just kind of starting to put the word out to people who want to know about protests, boycotts, how to contact your senators or representatives based on what issues are important to you. I'm trying to keep a healthy balance between staying informed and not doom scrolling, which is difficult because it seems like every day there's something new coming out that makes you go, am I reading The Onion or am I reading real life? So that has taken up a lot of my time as well. So it's been cutting into my stitching time, but I think it is well worth it because as long as we have a democracy to participate in, I believe everybody should participate. So if you like what's going on, please write your representatives and executives, your governors or the president, and tell them what you think. If you don't like what's going on, do the same thing. Contact your representatives, march, protest, do whatever it is to make your voice heard and to educate others on the issues going on. Because I just fear that one day we're going to be so focused on staring at our phones that we're going to wake up one day and find that we don't have any rights anymore, or that our ability to participate in our democracy has been severely curtailed by people who want to consolidate power. So that's my little rant. Get involved however you choose to. There are many, many ways to get involved. If you are curious, send me a message and I can give you more information on how I've been getting involved. So with that, March looks to be busy with stitching and activism and hopefully more hiking because the weather's going to get better. So I think that's it. I mean, I had a busy February. So again, if you have stuck around to the end, thank you. I know I tend to ramble. Go ahead, hit that like button, make the algorithm happy. Comment, subscribe. My goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. I know some people are able to do that like that, and other people have to work at it. I don't know how I make the YouTube algorithm happy or not. I don't know what I did to make it mad, but oh well. So please like, comment, and subscribe because I'd like to get to 1,000 subscribers. If I get to 500 subscribers, I definitely am going to have a little party and a giveaway. So keep it up there. I also am on Instagram and on Blue Sky, so continue to follow my stitchy journey there. And until next time, enjoy your stitching and never let anybody tell you what to do. You always just go ahead, stitch your own stitch. Have a great day.